Hello, welcome back to the Beaver House. I am Vahkiti, your glorious notifications host, and we're back with the stream doing stupid fucking Galador after this game that we're gonna finish because we never did for some reason. Huzzah! Let's
How do you think they have sex in Flatland?
What?
I watched a movie recently, and that's unusual for me because I don't watch a lot of movies.
Oh, I'm about to die. Okay, that's a good way to start the stream. Yeah.
I watched the low-budget...
gooey to retain health, sure.
I watched the low-budget animated movie based on the book Flatland, which was a book about two-dimensional life forms and politics. And, it was a good movie.
Wow, that's gotta be a record. Fucking death right at the fucking start of the stream.
All the characters in Flatland are just boxes of organs. You see their organs doing organ stuff. You see all the synapses in their brain firing.
What the fuck?
So are the witches in this game direct references to Key's delivery service?
I didn't catch any of that.
Are the witches in this game direct references to Kiki's delivery service? Come on, Liam, you gotta try.
I don't fucking know.
Probably.
Was that movie out at the time?
Probably. Or they may be references to the same source material.
When did this game even come out? Wasn't this like 96 or something? It was one of the last games on the Super Nintendo, I know that much.
Kiki service. Typing pizza while hands in my mouth. Take two. The typing is hard while I'm holding pizza.
Good job, Josie. No, it's canon now that you're typing with hands in your mouth.
Typing pizza with hands in my mouth. Yeah, typing pizza with hands in my mouth.
Oh yeah, so that reminds me, Fishspill, have you fucking picked up Star Allies yet?
Not yet.
Why the fuck not?
$60 is a lot of money for, I don't know, it seems to be relatively little content.
Okay, because again, it totally didn't take us 6 hours to finish.
Look,
still, that's $10 an hour.
Kirby Star Allies is worth $60 in as far as you could say any Kirby game. If a Kirby game
hey, it's a Kappa.
If a Kirby game could be made that is worth $60, Kirby Star Allies is probably it, because it's very content rich.
That's why platformers just aren't viable anymore outside of the indie market, because they don't have enough content as compared to like big third-person open world adventures.
Video games need to be cheaper.
For the same price. They can't be cheaper though, because of how expensive modern games are. Now, if you had a AAA studio just start pumping out, like, indie-level games, that would be a different story. That'd actually be really cool.
I mean, this Kirby isn't an indie-level game?
Well, it is now, I would say. This would be like a really good indie game today.
Yeah, in Super Nintendo times, this was very low rent. Because well, no. For the Super Nintendo, this was actually very cutting edge. It was very.
There's certainly a thing these days where video games have to be as pretty as possible, even when anything else is completely serviceable.
I swear to... Oh my god, not this shit again.
Okay. So, Kiki's delivery service came out in...
My PVR is doing that thing where it disconnects from my PC for no reason again. That's cool.
Kiki's delivery service came out in 1989, and Kirby's Dream Land 3 came out in 1997. Hello?
Hi, I'm still trying to get the fucking PVR up and running again. There we are. I don't know what the fuck is causing that to happen. It did this on the last Kirby stream, too. It should be back now. I should get a new PVR at some point. This thing is It's kind of, it works, but it's old. It's the original HD PVR Gaming Edition.
Yeah, you should get a cat.
Oh.
You should get it. Because the other one's called El Gato. That means cat in Spanishese.
Oh.
I get it.
Alright, Killer Yandari's in the chat.
Yee.
Killer Yandari's in the chat.
Fuck. The, what? The. Get in my mouth. There.
Oh. Get out of my mouth.
So, what's the superior game, this or Superstar?
Honestly, I don't know. I like the graphics and the focus on the... I was adjusting my position and I pushed the wrong button, whatever. Anyways, I like the Dreamland formula better than the Superstar formula, but at the same time, Superstar is definitely a more content-rich game. Also, let's go help Samus now.
It's like the Flatland movies. Neither of them is better or worse. They're just different.
Why does everything have to come back to them now?
I just realized we never did introductions.
When do we ever?
Don't we?
Okay. So.
Not on streams.
Okay.
On the
so,
commentary video.
Okay, I'm Josie. The guy playing is Liam, and he's very angry. This is Jonah. He's high. This is Rhys. Rhys is also high, and this is Ganto.
No, we're not doing that.
Patreon.com/Gatsu make stuff.
I already told you, if you're gonna fucking try, that's Ibbie, if we're gonna try and do a fucking gimmick, you can leave the fucking stream. Because I don't feel like doing that today.
Okay, fine. This is LaRocca. They wanted to do a gimmick where they pretended to be someone with a similar voice.
That doesn't exclude you, Josie. You can go as well.
Wait, oh, you were still doing the gimmick.
Yeah, don't kill yourself for my sake. I am not worth it.
With that attitude, you're never gonna become God.
Yeah. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps just like God can. Because literally, it's impossible. Only God could do it.
Cat!
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 So why is Kirby a hamster?
You're a hamster.
Okay.
So, do you know what the Animal Friends gimmick? Rhys?
Oh shit,
No.
Metroid! Oh shit, Metroid! No!
So,
I need ice.
Kirby Dream Land 3, and then 64, and one other.
Fishspill, you need to raise your microphone volume. Fuck.
I don't have a microphone volume, which is whatever my phone wants to do.
You actually probably do.
Well, I don't feel like going into my phone settings, but...
Oh my god, Rhys, turn your fucking vibrate off.
I'm eating pizza.
Fuck!
Literally, Fishspill. You're on your phone, when you're in streaming the voice channel, you just hit the fucking three
Is there
buttons up the
fucking
top that takes
ice
the voice
anywhere here? What the fuck? This is the main problem with this fucking game. It does not give you the abilities that you need in the same areas that you need them to complete the tasks that the level wants you to complete. So I have to exit the entire fucking level, go back to a previous level, get the thing, exit, and then go back again.
Maybe the reason.
Can you hear me now?
Like, I want to like this fucking game, but at the same time, it's just, it makes it so fucking difficult sometimes.
Maybe the reason Nintendo didn't make a Metroid game during the N64 era was because they thought this game counted.
So, like I was saying, Basically, Dreamland 2, Dreamland 3, and I think 64 were all developed by the same person, and it wasn't Masahiro Sakurai. It was someone else, which is why they're, like, significantly different from the rest of the series.
No, the Dreamland games were all Sakurai.
No, Dreamland 3 wasn't, I know that for a fact, and neither was 64.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, Dreamland 3
games...
isn't any different than Dreamland 2.
Okay,
It just has three more friends.
What do you mean?
Dreamland 2 is also developed by this other person that I forget the name of. But all of the games with Animal Friends or GUI,
Or
and
Dark
then 64, or all the Dark Matter or Zero games are all developed by the same guy.
I need a fucking easy place to get ice. Fucking hell. Actually,
His
I
name
know an easy place. Hold on. Fucking the pyramid level in Sand Canyon.
His name is Masahiro Sakurai.
Oh wow,
wait.
ice is right there. Cool.
Pyramids and sand meets ice?
Yeah.
Alright, let's freeze some fucking Metroids.
How come there's a snowman in the desert?
Yes.
What I love about you, Liam, is that you never seem to actually enjoy playing these. It's like you want to hurt them.
Liam hates games.
I'm exactly the same way with games, or at least shooters.
Alright, just fucking kill me so I can get it over with. Jesus Christ.
Competitive, but
Liam-
I really hate it.
Liam needs a Kirby stress ball so that he can cause pain to Kirby whenever he is angry.
No.
I just like more and more games as I get older. It's kind of frustrating, actually.
I don't even games anymore. I only ever play games for work.
The last game I finished, I think, on my own, on my own, just for fun, was, I think, it was like Earthbound, like a year ago.
I played the shit out of Sonic Forces.
For some reason.
Oh, and Odyssey. I played Odyssey all the way through. I never 100%ed it though because I'm not a masochist.
I did.
you 100%ed it in like 24 hours. It was insane.
Yeah. All 999 power moons, my dude.
I know. Well, I refuse to use the in-game guides.
What?
I know. I guess that makes me the real masochist.
You got 999 problems, but a moon ain't one.
Why do you make guides that are part of the game?
That's been a thing for like 10 years now. Where the fuck have you been?
There are 2 guide systems in Odyssey depending on how cheese you want to get.
So Nintendo figured that making games more accessible was going to increase their profit margins. So they've patented something called the Super Guide.
Oh, there was an ice thing there. Well, cool.
And basically, they want to make their games challenging, but also easy. So, like, if you want to be challenged, the challenge is there, but if you want to not be challenged, the challenge can be turned off.
I've always hated that because it reminds me of the XP share from the newer Pokemon games, where a lot of people say, well, if it makes the game too easy, then just turn it off. But the thing is, like, it's not, you're not really selecting a difficulty if you're choosing not to use things that are given to you in the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
No.
I think it would be better to select a difficulty.
I would rather select a difficulty at the beginning of a Pokemon game than turning on or off XP share, because they just like mentally feel. One feels like you're selecting a difficulty, and one feels like you're just handicapping yourself.
I can't even think of popular platformers that have difficulty settings.
Mega Man?
I'm gonna do this the hard way.
I just thought the way that they retooled XP share was bad, because I always figured that the way it should work was you put it's a helmet. You put it on your guy. If your guy is the one that fights in the fight, then it transfers the XP to all of your party members. And if your guy's not fighting, then he gets all the XP.
Well, in my opinion,
instead they sort of did that the stupid way.
Well, they should have just kept the old XP share system in place. It was fine, and it wasn't overpowered. Just have it be so that one Pokemon.
No, get out of here! No!
One
No,
Pokemon
I didn't want to go to the
experience.
door.
Well,
Fuck
see,
you,
my
game.
thing. Well, see, I think options are
Ah.
good. It's just that what
Metroids.
they
Who
they
put
did
their
was
Metroids in my Kirby?
they didn't
Fuck
implement
you,
an option.
Metroid.
They didn't really
Fuck
implement,
you.
They didn't really
Harley.
implement an op. They really didn't
I enjoy
implement
it.
options.
I enjoy it.
I enjoy it. Patreon.com/Gunto makes stuff.
Fuck you.
Anyway, they really didn't implement options. They implemented a thing. So now the old XP share, you don't have the option to use the old XP share. You have to use this new one. Why couldn't they do it the way I said? Which would have made more sense. Because now there has no reason to be a helmet.
Also, in the newer Pokemon games, there's basically no reason to level anyone but your starter up. Because basically every trainer in the game, until the Elite Four, only has like 2 or 3 Pokemon, including gym leaders. I don't know, I hate the new Pokemon games so much. They're so disappointing, in my opinion.
Apparently
It's
there's
just-
a theory.
A strategy game that like is about tactical advantage is really boring if there isn't any challenge and if the CPU doesn't understand the tactics in the first place.
There's a theory going around that Generation 8 is going to be the last Game Freak developed Pokemon games, and it's going to reboot. They're going to hand it off to other developers who can actually make a game.
Oh God.
I'm an
Oh sweet
intellectual.
Christ. Where am I? Where am I?
I'm an intellectual because the only
Oh
Pokemon
my
game
God,
I've
how
played
did
is
I
Pocket
survive
Morty's.
that? Also, hi Samus.
Is anyone else by
Huh?
Liam screaming?
Is anyone else annoyed by it? Yeah.
I said made horny, but go on.
Oh, okay. What was I gonna say? I forgot. Oh yeah. Yeah, I know. I forgot. Never mind. Oh yeah, the last Pokemon game that I enjoyed was Gen 4, or the last generation, but that might just be nostalgia. Because I was in like the perfect age range when Gen 4 came out to really enjoy Pokemon.
Ow.
And then everything after Heart Gold and Soul Silver, I think, has been a step down.
But yeah, there's a theory going around called the Pokemon Reset theory that Pokemon's going to reboot soon. Game Freak's going to retire from it and give it to someone else who can breathe new life into it.
What's the evidence behind that?
A 4-hour-long video series by Loxton and Noggin.
Yeah, but I've seen 4-hour Flat Earth videos too.
Alright, well, so there's a crap ton of references in alchemy in the later Pokemon games. In Sun and Moon, an attempt at synthetically creating Arceus was just like canonically exists. It's like a dog thing called. It's like a chimera dog thing called Type Null that wears a harness kind of like Arceus's, and it's called the RKS system.
But what does this have to do with rebooting the universe?
Also,
why would a corporation like precipitate corporate moves through esoteric video
Also-
games, some allegory?
Also, there's been a lot of Pokemon games that are about alternate dimensions and timelines and destroying the universe and rebooting.
Hey, Josie. I don't know.
It's not my idea. Yell at Loxton, not me. I'm just agreeing with him. Because it kind of makes sense. The Game Freak would get bored being...
No.
Like, there's a company called...
It would be like if Sega was being bought out, and so for the next 5 Sonic games, they slowly introduced a plot that was an allegory for Sega being bought out. It's like, I think it's that level of absurdity.
I could sort of
That's
see that already
not-
happening on.
Sega made a game called Sega Gaga on the Dreamcast, and it was about a video game company struggling to make ends meet, and the villain was literally Sony.
Don't forget about Segata Senshiro.
What about Star Wars The Last Jedi, which is an allegory about how hard it is to make a Star Wars movie?
No. Oh, yes, but
I've
no.
never seen so much green in the whole galaxy.
It is a meta. What do you mean green? It's blue.
Are you blue?
Oh, you're talking about the Star Wars quote. Okay, I remember now. Star Wars.
Never knew there was this much green in the whole galaxy.
So who's excited to see
It's
how?
like actually just like metaphor for how much money the movie was going to make.
Yes. It's pretty good.
Is that why Las Vegas Planet was included?
Well, that was the next movie.
Yeah,
Like that.
the movie's gonna the Star Wars is gonna reference capitalism a lot more often now, and
What?
Star Wars, the multi-billion-dollar, like, liberal ideology, secret, crypto, working-class movie.
I mean you joke, but I imagine there's gonna be a movie like straight up about capitalism eventually.
Star Wars is basically the epitome of spectacle, like.
Holy shit! Wait a minute! I just realized. The entire prequel trilogy was literally about capitalism and the Trade Federation and
Wow.
trade.
Wow.
It was about capitalism and that George Lucas knew exactly how much money he was going to make off of merchandising sales.
I mean, there's that too, but narratively, it was about trade.
Yeah.
Okay, but weren't the Trade Federation in an explicitly mercantilist way?
I don't know. The movies weren't good.
The movies were an allegory for or at least the last one was an allegory for the Iraq War. As far as I know.
Look, it was very unclear exactly what. It was very unclear.
How is it an allegory for the Iraq War? Sorry, Josie, I shouldn't speak over you, but
It was very unclear
I'm fairly
exactly.
certain that George Lucas explicitly stated that the films, or not explicitly, but like
Look,
implied that the last two films were like a critique of the Bush administration.
Look, it's very unclear what exactly those movies were about because they weren't very good. It was clear that the movies were about a trade federation being mad at some monks with laser swords.
Alright,
The
time to do
prequels
another
prequels
save
could have been
fucking thing.
the prequels could have been actually very like good if Lucas had the correct people around him.
Yeah, like, if Lucas wanted to make a Star Trek movie, he could have hired the people from Star Trek to make it.
Why would he want to do that?
Because that's what the prequels were!
no, they weren't.
What
They
is
were about-
this
Prequels were not
puzzle?
Star Trek.
They,
The prequels were like very straight space operas. They were not Star Trek.
Oh god, it's an audio-related puzzle, so I have to actually listen to this. Great.
most of the dialogue in the prequels was about politics.
That kind of means you guys have to shut your faces for a moment.
No.
That'll never happen.
Okay, it's the last one.
Patreon.com/content makes stuff.
Josie,
Please
you're
start.
actually being annoying now.
I'm sorry.
Okay, one more.
Content makes stuff.
I tried looking up porn of the lobotomy Pokemon, and no one's running with it.
Well, since you started talking again, I have to do it again.
You're welcome. I interrupted you about porn.
You
Right
do
on,
realize that every time you say something, I'm just gonna have to fucking shut you up even more, right?
Yep.
Just mute
Can
us.
you just mute us?
Fuck!
I thought he muted us for a bit and then he said fuck.
It's hard with his audio setup to do that.
We should be
Well,
professional.
I'm all for shutting the fuck.
We should get professional.
Shh.
Last one. Okay. Last one again. Okay, alright, we're good.
Good.
Was that so hard?
Yes, it was.
You can slightly see through Fishman, right? Like he's slightly translucent.
No.
Yeah, no, stop moving and you'll see it.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Shading. Never mind. I thought it was. I thought it was translucent. For a second.
It's just the shading. He has circular shading patterns. He has a circular shading pattern that makes him look like he's translucent when he has Kirby in his mouth.
That could be intentional. To get that effect because he is sort of like stretching out to hold Kirby.
I like it.
Yes,
Inflation
it's not
porn.
like some awesome graphical effect or anything. It's just the spray.
Okay, let's see. Slipknot has not tweeted about Channel Awesome, and neither has Mara Wilson.
Why would Slipknot have tweeted about it?
Because Corey Taylor is a fan of the Nostalgia Critic, but probably not anymore.
They probably don't care.
I don't know who Corey Taylor is, so...
Slipknot!
Oh.
I doubt that anyone in Slipknot is highly invested in an internet, like, YouTube.
Corey Taylor! He's a fan of the Nostalgia Critic! I heard it on a podcast that he was on, and he said Nostalgia Critic, and he likes the Nostalgia Critic. And he was in an episode of the Nostalgia Critic.
Okay, but why would he tweet about it?
Because Channel Awesome's doing a thing a thing is happening with Channel Awesome, and it's bad.
I doubt that they even know about it. Most people don't. Most people, they'll just like see like, oh, Nostalgia Critic on YouTube. I'm gonna watch this video. I like these. That's as far as they get invested.
I'm also surprised. Well, then I am surprised at Mara Wilson because of her whole deal with the Nostalgia Critic.
I doubt she cares or knows.
Okay.
What do you mean her whole deal?
So, Mara Wilson first found out about the Nostalgia Critic because people were because she was getting harassed about her movies or something. I don't remember. And then she found out about the Nostalgia Critic and was like, wow, this guy's an asshole! And then
I think it was because of Drop Dead Fred.
He had to convince her that, no, the Nostalgia Critic's just a character. I'm not really an asshole. And she believed him, but I guess he is an asshole.
He was an asshole all along.
He is an well, no, Mike McShode is the asshole. The Nostalgia Critic just sold his soul to the devil, and that makes you an asshole.
Like he's Doug Walker.
What's this? Can you step back to the beginning of what this bad stuff is all about?
Yep, so that turns you into an asshole when you sell your soul.
Can you go back to explaining what happened?
One at a time.
Channel Awesome's been basically run super unprofessionally. Mike Michaud, who's basically the CEO and runs everything, is known as kind of abusive, uncaring asshole.
Yep.
They've had problems with people who are supposedly meant to be people's bosses sexually harassing people. Apparently they didn't do any of the things you're meant to do for the most basic film shoots. Like
include water, include water on the set. They taped a woman to a wall and then just I guess left her there. And she passed out. Yeah.
And just generally shitty management issues is what.
Oh, they pay people an exposure, and then when they fire you, they wipe your existence out of the website, and occasionally make you sign a non-compete clause, so you can't actually use the exposure you've earned. So basically, everything bad about every company you've ever heard of, except also marketed badly. Like Jonah, as you mentioned, most people only know about Channel Awesome because they see a Nostalgia Critic video on YouTube and are like,
no, what I'm saying is most people don't care about internet drama.
Alright, but
It's
what
like
I'm...
if someone sees, oh, there's what is channel? Oh, it's that nostalgia critic thing. Okay, whatever. I don't care.
Alright, so
It's the same reason JonTron still has fans.
So here's the deal though, is that Channel Awesome, apparently Mike Michaud registered it as a full-blown corporation when he registered it as a company. Everyone always just assumed that was a mistake or something, because you're supposed to register small companies as LLCs, and he didn't.
I mean, that doesn't refute the fact that nobody cares.
Well, see, the thing is, though, people would care, except one of the things
I don't think people would, though.
So,
that's my point.
Well,
Can you just say Josie?
Yeah.
Okay, look. The thing is, people would care if he'd actually marketed the company well, but for some reason, Mike Michaud has done everything bad that every other corporate executive has ever done, but he's also marketed his company so badly that nobody cares.
I don't think that's a marketing issue at all.
I think it's, what I'm saying is that, like, most people just don't care about internet drama, though, regardless of if they know it's happening or not. Like, most people will just tune out because they don't. Yeah, but the kind of people who get, like, actively angry about EA are the same kind of people who would get actively angry about Channel Awesome, though. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, most people don't care. Like, it's just, they might know what's happening, but it's just like, whatever. They're not that invested in this property.
So much with EA because it was Star Wars.
Channel Awesome is like, this bullshit that's going on with them has been reported on journalist sites.
Journalist sites.
It's pretty bad.
My favorite kind of news.
It's a pretty bad thing that they're doing, because like the former contributors wrote like a 69-page document detailing everything wrong that they ever did. They're bad people. Linkara left. That's not bad.
When did Linkara leave?
Recently, because of this thing. He left because of the thing that happened, and like a lot of people left.
So what's this new thing that happened? Sounds like a lot of this.
Basically, all the contributors that had left Channel Awesome had just had enough of the bullshit, and had just they just drafted up a document of all the things they did, like taping a woman to a wall for reals, and not keeping her hydrated, letting her pass out.
There was no incisive. Yeah, there was no like incisive moment. It's like a There's just a laundry list of things that have happened.
Basically, Channel Awesome has been horrible since the moment Doug Walker was approached by Mike Michaud to start a company. The moment that Doug Walker literally sold his soul to the devil, basically, like, it is very, very odd that I get to actually say that, because it doesn't make any sense that this is the thing that happened, but it did. Apparently, Doug Walker does not own the intellectual property rights to the Nostalgia Critic or his own brand of comedy.
Yeah, but Rob, as far as I know, Rob and Doug are both are both shareholders in the company, though.
Yeah, but the majority shareholder and the owner of the Nostalgia Critic is Mike Michaud. So basically, Doug Walker sold his soul to someone who I guess is a corporate executive, and
they both have corporate control over the company.
Yeah, like, I'm not saying Doug Walker isn't an asshole. I'm just saying he probably became an asshole because of this, and that's not an excuse, because he's still an asshole and he's still being an asshole.
Like, he's just like the average person who is likely to sell out their friends for money.
That too, yeah.
Wow.
Money's weird. Anyway.
Well, we live in a society that conditions us to think doing things like that are okay.
Like, I'm just gonna grab up the document and see if I can pull up some relevant ones.
Are we really gonna turn this to our hashtag change the channel stream?
Do we want to?
No, because I'm sure that these things happen in essentially all internet-based media corporations. And considering that these kind of allegations have occurred, especially amongst like YouTube networks, like essentially all of them. I have a feeling it's more to do with management in new media, just being such a new like frontier of development. You're less likely to see professionalism.
I mean, that is true to an extent, Fishspill, but like, there definitely are certain aspects that are just above and beyond the normal, like fucking Mike Ellis being a super fucking abusive creep, losing his shit when he was fired from the company, punching out Mashord, and then threatening to kill their HR manager.
Who apparently the non Mike Ellis executives escorted her to a safe house with baseball bats and swords.
What?
Yeah, straight
Because
up.
no one's heard of the police.
Instead of contacting the
I'm
police,
not a fan of the police, but this is what they're for.
instead of contacting the police, they personally escorted her to a safe house with swords. Yeah. Also, she was the only contract employee of Channel Awesome that was not a producer, and also none of the producers were contract employees. But basically, they had this lady work every single day. Like, apparently, she was working every day for them. Then one day, she like had to have some surgery and had to take some time off, and they immediately fired her for that, and made her sign a non-compete clause so she couldn't go work for somewhere else.
Yeah, that violates her labor rights. I mean, she could have sued.
Yeah, but see, the thing is though that she had just had surgery and didn't have the will to fight right now. But yeah, so
Isn't that
basically,
what lawyers are for?
Yeah.
Well, you probably don't have the money for a lawyer if you just had surgery.
Anne was just fired.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically, Channel Awesome pays people an exposure, but won't let you actually use that exposure. So they're basically not paying anybody. And they kept saying they were going to pay people eventually, but then they didn't. Also, Rob Walker and Mike Michaud at some point thought that Channel Awesome was going to be the next Facebook. Like, apparently behind the scenes, they would frequently talk about eventually turning Channel Awesome into a social media site, and that would rival Facebook.
Alright.
So kind of, I could see them trying to do that in like a YouTube network style type of. Jesus Christ, I can't into words today. It kind of. You remember when Screw Attack about a decade ago started allowing users to upload videos?
Yeah.
Like I could see them doing something similar to that as like a rival to YouTube, but Facebook makes no sense.
Well, if they didn't do that after the Maker lit buyout, then they aren't going to do that now.
I mean, I don't know. Arguably, there'd be. Fuck, who knows? Who cares? But okay, but one thing that seriously you forgot to mention about the whole Holly thing was like, that was the HR person. For some reason, despite being, you know, the head of human resources, she was made to upload all of the videos every afternoon. Even though, like, setting up automatic uploading is like the fucking easiest thing in the world.
So she was basically just their HR rep and their personal assistant, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much, but like, that's just mean reason. She begged them to just let her set up an auto posting thing. But no, apparently she just had to fucking clear her afternoons for her entire life so that things could be posted to the site.
Yeah, she actually like explicitly says that working at Channel Awesome ruined her life. Like, flat out ruined her life. She says she's doing good now, and I'm very happy for that, but oh my god, these people were my childhood. What happened?
It's less
Like all
what
things do when you
happened
get
and more
older.
what was
You realize
happening
how
all
terrible
along.
they were. Yeah.
Also, I
Everything
wouldn't
that you
exactly call them
cherish.
your childhood. Didn't they start in like 2008?
Liam, I was a child when I was 14.
Josie,
Wait,
you would
I
have been like at least 16 then.
I am bad at time, okay? just look. These people were a big part of my life between 16 and now, and like, I would feel weird about it.
Also, I would argue you could make an argument that Josie's like
Still
almost
a child?
hilarious. I was going to say Josie almost impossibly abused had led to a kind of delay thing.
Yep.
I didn't catch most of
This
that,
is what-
but that basically sounded like my point, but different.
Yeah, there was some delay on the stream. I'm about 10 seconds behind.
I don't think that she's still a child, which apparently you do, because you're kind of an asshole.
It was a joke.
So apparently every single contributor to Channel Awesome that had any LGBT relationship, any LGBT thing going on with them at all, has been just hugely abused. To the point where one guy seemed to drop off the face of the earth after he left Channel Awesome. They treated him so badly for being gay.
What things would they do?
Heizu Otaku came out as trans after a while, and they treated him so badly he just refused to mention them at all ever again.
My
Yeah,
show
but
is
how are
kind
they
of a
treating these
chud,
people
though.
badly?
They don't say, but it's not uncommon to
Use
I
your
remember
words,
reading
Josie.
Josie.
Yeah. He showed like was pretty reactionary, and he would like punish people who posted videos that were not reactionary. Apparently, like he was like very firmly pro Gamergate, and people like weren't allowed to post videos that were.
Yep. Dan Olson from the show Foldable Human was briefly on Channel Awesome and immediately kicked off because his first couple of videos were about Gamergate.
Yeah, I think that must have been what I read then.
Oh, and I dropped my keyboard and unplugged my headphones. Wonderful. There. How did I lose my headphones while I'm
This is
here?
what sucks about new media, though. The kind of people who you're going to find in the new media are typically people who tried their hand in the old media, but were unsuccessful, and so were forced to move on to like newer properties. So you usually don't.
I mean, if you're getting old media landscape in any way falters for talent, that's something I'm skeptical of.
If the old media what?
That the old media landscape is in any way a filters for talent. I'm skeptical of that.
One video.
They at least the old media. Sorry, Josie, for cutting you off, but
Sorry.
I guess I didn't cut you off. I was just.
I'm sorry. I'm bad. I shouldn't. do
It's
this.
hard on the internet because there's like a delay in our voices, but with old media, you at least have a certain degree of accountability because these corporations are large enough to be monitored by like, you know, like the federal government and like labor organizations and such. When you have like small businesses that are on like the frontiers of media development, you just tend to get people who I guess are sloppier. Like from what I've seen.
Bionic Turtle. I watched all of Galador. I can't really speak for everybody. I think Liam's seen some of it. Jonah
I'm not
and
talking
Rhys.
about the content creators. I'm talking about management. Yeah,
Jonah and Rhys didn't know what Galador was until we talked about it in the last stream. So, Ibbie, have
Hi.
you Galadored?
I have not Galadored.
Oh. I can basically sum up Galador as, quote, the most 90s thing ever to be made in the early 2000s.
I don't know about that.
It's not very good. Okay,
I mean,
about.
Galador is just more cheap than anything else.
Yeah, very cheap. It's so cheap that even though the character props are all rubber suit monsters, for some reason they didn't demonstrate glitching very often. I think characters only swap limbs on screen 6 times. You can literally just pull the glove off of one suit and put it on the other actor. Come on, guys. This is like the easiest gimmick to demonstrate on the show. Come on.
So I think the next Kirby game is gonna be really good. Yeah, I think it'll be kind of like the Triple Deluxe effect, where since they have the engine down now, and they have all the graphics basically finished.
No, throw it out, make it a first-person shooter.
The next game in the franchise is going to be they're going to be able to be more creative with it, just because they don't have to develop an entirely new engine from scratch.
Nope. Throw the engine out. Make it a first-person shooter. We can call it Kirby Doom Matter.
People do want a third-person, or like a third-person platforming adventure Kirby game.
Curb of Duty.
No, not a first-person shooter, like a 3D Mario game with Kirby.
Kirby Field.
Has Kirby ever had like a true 3D game?
The closest is
Kirby's Air Ride.
No, the
City
closest
Escape.
now is Kirby Blowout Blast.
Kirby. Wasn't there a fighting game?
no.
Oh yeah, well that's not really, like, that's just an arena game.
Okay, there's like an arena game.
A Kirby fighting game would be awesome though. Speaking, I guess Smash Brothers is basically a Kirby fighting game though.
Jacob Shepard asks if you're bad enough to play Doom, Liam.
I mean, I had considered playing, we did
Liam's
stream
pretty bad.
Castlevania Simon's Destiny, and I'm thinking of doing, Metroid Dreadnought.
I think Liam's pretty bad.
Is Metroid Dreadnought is the Doom 1
Doom 2 mod.
Metroid WAD. Doom 2 Metroid WAD?
Yeah.
The original Doom games are so good.
We should play this. We should play the SpongeBob games.
I don't know. I just feel like older 90s first
Do I
person
have to
shooters
play
are
this
good.
entire level with Nago? I thought I had to fucking...
Why would you ever play a game where you didn't? Why would you ever play any game without the cat? Always play the game with
I
the cat.
thought, I keep giving this fucking game the benefit of the doubt and assuming that it's going to give me the thing I need at some point.
No, always play the game with the cat.
I don't know why devs feel like they have to create like very heavy floaty first person shooters these days. Like for the last 15 years all we've seen have been like cover shooting Half-Life multiplayer clones. And it's just tiring. Yeah, I guess, but I miss old like arena style shooters.
I think the newest Doom was a really good balance of like feeling like firm and not like so floaty you'll lose yourself if you're not really practiced, but also quick to just
Oh,
do
that's
anything.
cool. We can shoot through walls.
Jacob Shepard says Return to Castle Wolfenstein is his favorite game.
I haven't played Wolfenstein or the new Doom.
Well,
They're on my list of things to do.
your mom is Doom.
Literally, you had a chance to say your mom is list of things to do. Really,
Yeah.
Josie? I'm disappointed in you.
I set the joke up for you, Josie. No,
Hey?
You think the Joker would like us?
no.
Oh.
Have you played Return to Castle Wolfenstein, Rhys?
Wait, fucking 2004 one or whatever?
No, isn't that the one that just came out?
No.
That's Wolfenstein: The New Colossus.
Oh, no, isn't that the New Order? I don't know.
Oh.
No, New Order was one from a couple of years ago. New Colossus is that came out last year.
What's the one that received criticism for being a Wolfenstein game that was anti-Nazis?
The New Colossus.
Okay.
That
Yes,
was
I have played it.
crazy.
A Wolfenstein game that's anti-Nazi. How?
Yeah, I mean that was just
How
like
progressive.
the rise of like Nazis thinking it's okay to be Nazis now that Trump is president, and then I mean there's like, I guess it was that first, and then people actually being violent or threatening violence with Nazis, and then it was like, oh, this game promotes violence against Nazis. And it's like, shouldn't that just be one of the true American values?
I swear to
just like-
fucking God, game!
Like,
Wasn't there like an
always
entire
be
war?
okay to hate Nazis?
Wasn't there like an entire war about violence against Nazis, and like we
Yeah,
decided that it was a good thing? it, it is my constitutional right to beat up Nazis.
Yeah, like a couple of years ago, it was apparently all America was about was punching Nazis. And now all America is about playing Nazis, just Nazis. All America Nazis.
I mean,
That was
I
a
personally think
shitty rebranding of the All American Projects.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the lesser quality albums from them.
I personally think it is completely fine to punch Nazis because Nazism is just, you know, against human rights values. It's just
Well,
I like.
I like you, Ibbie.
Like I just watched a movie about
Places.
two-dimensional people, and there's the two-dimensional people and the three-dimensional people. They go to talk to a non-dimensional guy who's just a single point in the entire universe, and he like they try to convince him, hey, there are more dimensions than just none of them, and he's all like, yeah, you just thoughts, you're just my thoughts. Nothing in the universe can be anything other than me. They just cannot convince this guy, and that's the moral, is you can't. Some people just don't want to listen, and you will never be able to get them to listen.
I don't know.
Also,
there are a lot of psychoanalytical theories behind the origins of fascism, and I'm wondering if like a form of like solipsism is ultimately behind that, just like unbridled hedonistic solipsism.
Also, when Android 16 died in Dragon Ball Z, his dying words were, "It is okay to use violence sometimes because words cannot reach some people." You can't reason with someone who thinks they're better than you simply because they are.
Well, you can't reason with someone who uses reason as a front for sneaking across language that incurs violence against other people.
Like, it's
And
will-
that's the problem with
Nazi. Right.
they don't debate in good faith.
They're bad.
Reactionary language is communicated through like code and dog whistling, and so it's like you. The only thing you can really do is shut the person up, because you can't.
Sorry, I was going to say, I really believe in the saying that, or at least the belief, that to have a tolerant society, you can never tolerate intolerance. It's like, it just sounds a little hypocritical, like, oh, you tolerate except for when you intolerate intolerance, but, I mean, you need to not tolerate intolerance in order to have tolerance.
Yeah, that seems pretty self-explanatory to me.
Nazis are willfully ignorant, and they do not want to be reasoned with. They cannot.
They're
be
worse
reasoned.
than willfully ignorant. They actively know that some of the things they say are propagandistic and untrue for the benefit of some higher goal. Like the rebranding of like the anti-Semitic banking conspiracy as globalism wasn't like an organic development. Like this was like this rebranding of like fascist ideas was actively done. Was actively thought through by these groups.
Yeah, it was a bunch of fascist groups wanting to launder their ideology, not a bunch of people who like stumbled upon fascist ideology by accident. Just called it.
Well, that's why fascists these days like wear suits and stuff, because they've rebranded themselves from being just like country bumpkins into trying to appear as like madman-esque, like suave representations of like a wider America.
Like, oh, look how sophisticated I am. I'm a Nazi.
I mean, arguably, isn't that more because effectively the resurgent fascism in the United States is a very middle class like base?
It's a petty bourgeois movement for sure.
I mean, don't get me wrong, definitely is an attempt to appeal to the white working class. God, I hate that phrase. Kill it forever. But like, overall, yeah, it's a middle class move from middle class whites. I mean, as much as people like to say that like the original Nazis were some sort of like lower class movement, bullshit. There were middle class people who were made lower class by the war. They were upset at their loss of prestige. And that's what's happening in America. They're fearful of their loss of prestige.
Yeah, it's pretty evident that, Germany was, butthurt that they lost World War I. They went to shit because of it. And, I think they regulated, and lost something, tried to take away. I mean, it just, pissed people off, even though the country kind of deserved it for being the bad guys of one war. So they decided to be the main bad guys of another war. And look how well that went for them.
World War I is more complex. I don't think that there were explicit good guys and bad guys in World War I.
Yeah, but I mean more in the sense of
enslaved half a quarter of the world.
I mean more in the sense of winners determine who is good and who's bad.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
It was just a bad choice. I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Like the one thing that, that liberals and socialists can agree on is that World War II was necessary, ultimately.
Yeah, it just took a lot for liberals at the time.
It just took a long time for them to really figure that out.
Yeah, when I say Germany,
the USSR was allied with Nazi Germany, but for an uncomfortable length of time prior to the war.
I do want to reiterate that, when I say after World War I, Nazi, Germany was, the bad guys. I mean that in the sense of, just, how they were labeled as the bad guys. But in World War II, they were bad guys, too.
Hexy Minty Man says World War I was unnecessary.
Oh my god, just use something that I can throw. This boss is so fucking annoying.
Sorry, I didn't mean to such a douche there, but yeah, the famously waste of human lives pointless.
Darn!
I called Hexadecimal Mantis Hexadecimal. I called him Hexadecimal Minty Man.
Liberal analyses of World War I make me laugh because they don't make any sense. They're all about
I hate this fucking boss. I can see why this fucking mid-boss didn't appear in any other game, because it's fucking stupid.
You can see how, World War I was not about the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand at all. But it's most liberal analyses of World War I ultimately just simplify into essentially that thesis.
Yeah, it's a liberal way to look at it because it's based on the idea that treaties once signed must be enforced. Bullshit. If the Russian Empire didn't want to help out Serbia, no one would have forced them.
God.
And if Britain hadn't wanted to defend Belgium, then they could have just shrugged their shoulders and you know, being Britain, they're called Perfidious Albion for a reason.
Fuck!
Mid-boss
I
really
fucking
wanna
hate
throw
this
sand.
bullshit!
So Liam, what's your opinion of Belgium?
Can we talk about how shitty this fucking mini-boss is?
I mean, it really
umbrella?
seems like the problem is that he doesn't want to throw his sandal off there.
Yeah. This is like the fucking fan and the amazing mirror. Fuck this bullshit.
Fan wasn't an amazing.
I love how a game this cute could make you so mad.
Well, look at this shit. It's taken me like a whole minute to get a single hit on it because the RNG is fucking bullcrap.
Can you really blame him for not wanting to throw his only sandal at you?
Well, he gets it back somehow. Probably when you throw it at him.
Well, then why the fuck doesn't he
Ow,
throw?
my eye, but now I have my sandal back. So if
Well, then why the fuck doesn't he throw more than one at once?
Do you guys think that Kirby has a class character?
No. But anyway, fucking, sorry. Jonah.
Yeah?
Sorry. Talking about liberal takes, have you read the whole, guns warless thing?
No. Oh, that's the thing you said, right? I have not read that
I don't
yet.
think so.
Alright, so in
Wait,
other...
what's Guns of August? What's Guns of August again?
Basically, it's a book whose the general idea of which is basically that no one is actually to blame for World War One. Basically, it uses the bullshit idea that basically everyone signed these treaties, had to pay attention to these treaties, and once the army started mobilizing,
What the
it
fuck?
was
Why did
impossible
that
to stop.
not kill it?
I don't know, Liam.
Alright, so in later Kirby games, enemies would throw multiple projectiles at once, and then when they collided with the ground, they would turn to stars that would remain on the field for like a second or two, and then you could grab them and then hit the bad guy. This enemy, this mini boss throws one projectile that hits the ground and then it's gone, and then you just have to just keep it up. It's very bad. It's very bad.
I think worse is that he requires so much hits.
You know what?
So many hits.
It doesn't
You
even
know
give
what?
you.
Let's
It
all
doesn't even give
agree.
you an enemy health bar.
Let's all agree that let's all agree that there was someone whose fault World War I was, and it was this mini boss. This mini boss caused World War I.
I agree.
I'm pretty sure the war can be considered basically a giant fight that occurs in like a buffet line. Like you have all these all these imperial powers that are essentially fighting over control of like third world resources.
World War I was started by an umbrella with an eyeball. I'm saying.
Yeah, and the countries that won World War I, it's not a coincidence that they're also basically the leaders of the Western world now.
Yep. America's.
I get it, because you're in the castle now, you have to fight all the mini bosses.
Yeah.
So, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Are liberals just incapable of admitting that, like, war criminals exist?
No.
I don't think so.
I mean, I wouldn't deny that war criminals exist.
Given that I think liberals kind of like invented the idea of war crime in the first place.
I don't know.
I mean, what do you mean?
That was a bad take, but it just reminded me of, you know, like, they never acknowledge that fucking, they like, you know, the Democrats are trying to fucking rehabilitate Bush, and they've rehabilitated Reagan, and like, but for some reason they've got to rehabilitate Kaiser Wilhelm II.
What?
Wait, what?
I don't understand.
Okay, so basically now that Trump's in office, America is basically saying, well, Bush may have started a war, but at least he wasn't Trump. Well, Obama may have made it perfectly legal for the United States to kill anybody at any time for no reason, but at least he wasn't Trump.
It's because the mainstream Democratic Party doesn't care about the primary impetus behind their hatred of Trump lies in the way they feel like it makes America look instead of America's actions. Because the mainstream Democratic Party has no problem with American imperialism at all. So they don't think that like the horrible crimes committed by like Obama and Bush are bad, because either they're just willfully ignorant of them, or they just decide it doesn't affect them, so they don't care.
It's more marketing. I find
it's entirely marketing, I think.
I find
brand image.
I find Trump infuriating, but I don't think so far he's been worse.
Trump hasn't been materially worse than any other Republican president. The Democrats just think that he makes them look bad.
He does, but it shouldn't matter as much as the fact that
there's also the fact that Trump isn't doing much at all because he's not the thinking sort.
He's not the thinking sort. That's putting it lightly.
Like
it's essentially the Bush admin part 2, where
everything he wants to accomplish is bad. He's just too incompetent to get any of it done.
It's
wow,
basically
the rest of these bosses are really straightforward. It's just the
umbrella. It was just that one that was a piece of shit.
So
and
it's basically
do
just
everything over again.
No, I think so. If you die, but
like if you end up having to, that would suck.
Yeah.
I don't think there's checkpoints in Kirby 3.
Yeah, there are. It's a checkpoint every area. Also, now we're gonna finish the game, I guess.
Oh,
cool. But like I was saying, the Trump admin's basically shitty Bush admin. The Bush administration, you have like an incompetent oaf, quote unquote in charge, basically meaning that you have a bunch of slightly more competent people behind him doing terrible things. But now we just have an incompetent oaf at the head and a bunch of similarly incompetent people behind him doing bad things incompetently. So actually, one could make the argument that we're in a safer position now than we were during the Bush administration. Because at least we don't have like a Dick Cheney anywhere near Trump.
You hear about Mike Pence's young daughter wrote a propaganda piece about him.
God,
and for some reason,
terrifying.
And for some reason, they decided to publish it as a book. Like,
is it a mini-boss?
I don't think she purposely wrote a propaganda piece for her dad, but I mean, it's a kid writing about their parents. It's obviously going to come off as a bit one-sided, and then they decided, hey, this works perfectly well as propaganda for us. Let's publish it as a book for some reason. And then John Oliver took it and made a parody of it about their pet rabbit being gay, and it was great.
Why does Gordo look so silly without spikes?
Okay, am I wrong?
Are you still on the Gordo fight? Jesus.
Yeah.
You need to reload the fucking stream.
Oh, whoa, you're fighting DDD now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why is DDD like a freaking Saiyan? What were you saying, Rhys?
I don't fucking...
Are we supposed to be at the part where DD's belly is a giant gaping maw?
Yes.
Is King DDD criticism of Aristarchus?
Oh my god, fuck!
He's possessed by dark matter. Anyway,
fuck!
Mike Pence's family named their pet rabbit after Marlon Brando. They named him Marlon Bundo.
Why is this news?
Because his daughter wrote a book about him.
Fuck you, DDD!
Okay, but like, I like, you know, politicians using their kids as props isn't really new.
I know, but it's really douchey.
Politics. I mean, I'll admit I don't actually know a whole lot about these things because I don't like looking into politics. But I mean, Trump's only had 2 years so far, whereas Bush has had 8. But I mean, 9/11 happened in the first year of Bush's first term. And I would just say that generally speaking, I think the Bush administration was probably more malicious and a lot more dangerous to the world at large. Like, I mean, you know, starting a war and all that. Whereas the Trump administration, this is a lot more of a... leaning more towards like a civil war situation. Which, you know, is shitty in its own way. It's shitty for us, but maybe... I don't know.
The leading imperial power in the world doesn't have civil wars. Like, if America has a quote-unquote civil war, you're gonna find, you know, like,
Whichever side the military falls on, it's the side that would win.
Yeah, I mean, there's no like military forming in that sense of civil war. I mean, it's mostly just like riots and the like. But even so,
There's an episode of Dan
that...
Carlin's Common Sense about that. The problem with like a civil war today is that geographically we're far less homogenous than we were in the mid 1800s.
Fuck you, DD.
Also, the United States has so much more influence over the rest of the world since the first Civil War that basically, if America did have a full-out Civil War, it would basically be a world war, because the rest of the world would be all like, "Hey, for some reason, we base a lot of our shit off of your shit."
I'm sorry, I gotta interrupt, but I just noticed Kirby's air puffs have Kirby faces on them.
That's amazing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I freaking love Kirby.
So
Also, this is an awesome ending cutscene.
This isn't the end.
Matter.
Hmm?
Dark Matter, yo, what's up? What's up, girl?
All right.
Oh, right, I gotta get the thing. Yeah.
Okay,
People talk about like sorry, Josie, I just want to say something.
Hyperzone.
Dude, kill that guy with your hyperzone. People talk about the U.S. today being so like politically divisive, but I was rewatching some old political commentary from like the early 2000s, and things seemed a lot more dangerous then than they do now.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I feel like we're in a more stable position now politically than we were then. Like there's more like surface level like political circus division.
Yeah. So
but
basically,
in spirit and action, we're more unanimous now.
Oh god, I'm gonna die.
Basically, everything.
Can we talk about the fact that there was never like this mythical age of civil discord and respect in American politics? Do you forget that during like fucking debates over slavery, which by the way we don't have debates over slavery.
Oh god. Goodbye, Dark Matter.
Someone was beaten, was like
with a cane?
Yeah. They were beaten so badly they were paralyzed for the rest of their life. And the guy who did the beating because he was pro-slavery became the hero.
Yeah.
America.
Well, exact. People who talk about Civil War, I think, are out of touch with like the material basis of American society today. I don't think we're anything. I think we've been. I hate saying we, but I feel like the America has been far closer to the brink of Civil War over the past 50 years or so than today. Like you think of like the late 1960s, early 1970s, or the early 2000s.
Yeah,
I think we're far more completed today.
Back,
The
like,
things we've ever
just, like,
so...
how many mobbings and actual quasi
Huge riots in every major city.
Yeah, I'm referring more to how divisive the whole world is. It's just like,
But I don't think it is divisive.
Okay, Dark Matter down. Dark Matter down. Now, 0!
Is Dark Matter a dandelion? Oh wait, no, not dandelion. What's the flower with the petals?
You add nothing to organization.
This is the primary antagonist of the franchise right here.
Guys, what's the flower with the petals that you pick off the petals and say she loves me not? That flower.
I'm pretty sure that's a daisy.
Okay, Daisy, that's what. Is Dark Matter a daisy?
Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't, Kirby's apparently an amoeba, so.
Kirby's an amoeba and Dark Matter's a daisy and Zero is
Do I have to fight Dark Matter again?
What the fuck is Zero?
Yeah, I gotta fight fucking Dark. Oh god, this is gonna be a fucking gauntlet.
And now he's an allegory for capital greed.
I mean, I actually remember the answer, but it's spoilers, so I can't tell you.
Yeah.
Jonah.
Well, I know what Zero is. He's the embodiment of he can't feel happiness.
So
yeah, Star Allies, spoilers.
Yeah, there's a reason we keep telling you specifically, Jonah, you need to check this game out. You need to get it.
Isn't he like actually Shuma Gorath?
Kinda.
Wait, okay, what were we talking about? It actually was interesting. Unlike Shuma Gorath and Kirby, which is not interesting.
Shuma Gorath and Kirby is
Oh yeah, Ibbie said, I don't think the world is very divisive now. I think like surface level political circus It's divisive, but I think that's pure spectacle. I think the world economic base is pretty unified.
Yeah, there's definitely been a shrinking of politics that's, you know, actually in any way acceptable or able to rise to the top. Like, there's a very narrow, acceptable band of political thought, and I don't want to say Overton, because fuck you.
I kind of want
you, Overton.
as much as I dislike saying it, because a lot of things are fucked up these days that weren't before. I think for the most part things are better right now than they've kind of been in centuries.
Well, they sure as hell don't feel better.
Things aren't better. Things aren't better. They're more unified. I think the best analysis. I think the best analysis of this is. Are any of you familiar with like the situationist?
No. I need the clutch.
Particularly like.
So the thing is.
Work. So he talks about Guy Debord talks about like different kind.
There's no clutch. There is no clutch.
Basically, when I say
aim for your colorful commentary.
When I say
background, Liam's just fucking yelling.
I think technically Liam would be in the foreground because he's the one playing, and this is a gameplay stream.
Hey, you fucked
So
the background.
Getting it genuinely.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying Liam's the foreground because he's in front because he's the boss. He's the boss. He's the boss of this dog. He's the boss of this cat and fish show. I was going to say dog and
we
fish.
should make
Then I said
Josie.
cat and fish.
I was about to say we should make you the boss, but then I would have to kill you at some point in my life.
Also,
Wait, is this like a Sith rule of 2 type of situation?
Also, Liam has a lot of responsibilities that I can't handle.
Yeah, but
as the boss man.
Anyway, he described. So he wrote this in the late 1960s. The original Society of the Spectacle. You could classify 2 kinds of societies in modern culture, which are like the diffuse culture, which could be which would be described by the West, which is like inundated with multiple images of like accumulation. And then you have like the Eastern idea of like the Eastern Bloc concentrated type of like spectacular culture in which all images point towards a single source. In the Eastern Bloc's case being like the state and the Communist Party. But what we're seeing today, I think, is I forget what he calls it, but it's like a concentrated diffusion where we're hyper nationalistic, but at the same time we're becoming more and more nationalistic as time goes on and wears on. But at the same time, capital's very diffused, and like cultural imagery is very like diffused. So it all doesn't link back to the state. So essentially, we're living in like very fascist nationalistic times. We can't see it because of how diffuse our cultural images have become. I don't know. He explains it much better than I ever could.
So I'm looking at Rule 34 Flatland, and Google seems to not know what I'm talking about.
Why? Oh. Josie.
It's a box full of organs! That's awesome! You can see the synapses!
Welcome to Critical Theory, the live podcast.
Yeah.
Do you think nation states are increasingly become relevant as like the global capitalist class?
And gore in
beyond
3,
nations?
2. Oh God, no, Kirby, please.
I think that they're becoming
gore. Time for gore. Yep, it's gore time.
Gore it, dude. I think it's becoming. I think nation states are becoming more nationalistic. And I don't see a reversal of that trend coming anytime soon.
I mean, they become.
Jesus Christ!
Is that like a reaction to their continued irrelevance? Like.
Yeah, I think it has to do
Fuck out of here.
The capital. As capital becomes more diffuse, like the first world bourgeois class, I think feels more of a need to maintain its already accumulated capital, and it does so through like nationalism,
imperialism,
yeah. Ultimately, I think the diffusion. Rhys and I have talked about this on length. And we don't have to talk about it on this on the stream, but ultimately,
Like, fuck, we don't.
I think that the nation state collapses, and yields to like some kind of a global capital force, which then itself collapses. That's the way I see things happening, but I could easily be wrong, and we could just nuke ourselves into oblivion.
So the latest science clickbait is apparently they discovered a new form of matter.
What
Well,
is
there are
that?
actually like, so there are actually like a ton of phases of matter at the very low and very high end of energy.
Yep.
Quantas.
I think what they've done, and I just saw it in a chart. They consolidated all of the quantum states and they're just now classified as quantum consolidates.
It's been a long time since I took like a college level physics course, but
It's like the whole
Like
deal of
the four states of matter that you learn in high school, like physics, are vast oversimplification. There are like hundreds of different phases of matter.
yeah,
especially
there's
when you
solids and gases.
So, you know how, like,
liquids,
high
and your
school
mom.
science-
Plasma.
So high school science education, but like, do you think that like these simplifications like create even worse misunderstandings than literally saying we know and it's complicated?
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep.
I think that the way we, like the Aristotelian like academy, way we form our education system,
so
kind of makes that a necessity, and I,
Alright.
I think that's part of the reason why that kind of system.
I do think the four
Cut away.
distinctions of matter are very valid. I mean, I think like even if there's like, even if each has a sort of spectrum, I think it's just easier to say that like anything that wants to just like sort of be itself is solid. Anything that's like,
Well, not
I don't know.
really though, because there's like Bose-Einstein concentrates aren't any of the four states of matter.
like,
No, I mean it's not a spectrum though. They're completely different phases.
yeah, but I'm talking about like when it comes to like liquid, solids, gases, and plasmas. It's like those are really the only ones that apply to everyday life.
Well, that's why people use Celsius and not Kelvin.
you know they never even taught me about plasmas in school.
So
I
this was a
learned-
game, by the way.
This was a game.
Yeah.
It's over now. Anyway, so the
I think
latest
plasmas are very
clickbait,
underrated.
the latest clickbait circulating around through the scientific news is they discovered a new form of matter that already existed, and they've just classified it this time. They've classified it now. Quantum consolidates. They've consolidated all the quantum forms of matter and just said, you know what? Quantum physics is weird. All of it is one thing now.
I've been rewatching Freeman's Mind, and I've gotten a lot of nostalgia. So, anyone that doesn't know, I'm going for a liberal arts degree right now. But part
Really?
of me,
Sorry, before you finish,
Yeah, you completely cut out there.
oh me,
I think so.
I was gonna say
Everyone-
I'm working towards a liberal arts degree now, but part of me,
Why is
part of
my
me
Facebook
misses
still
my.
going off? I closed it. Oh, fuck off.
Jacob Shepard's a bunny.
For
My-
some
my, like,
reason,
my-
my file is still at 97%. I don't know why.
Well, Liam, you know
hey,
what to do.
please, like, I'm sorry, I kind of underestimated time and things. I've got to go get some sleep before I've got to
Bye,
start
Davey.
the day.
Bye, Davey. I love you.
Good luck.
Have fun being adorable. I love you.
Have fun being.
Not
a-
everyone's
Jonah
equal.
eats poo, and I respect him for that.
Oh
I told
shit,
you
it
not to
didn't
tell
save.
people about that.
God damn it.
I told you not to tell people that.
Liam, does it matter?
I guess it doesn't. No, I'm pretty sure it's just the mini games that qualify for 100%. So.
Yeah, Liam. If I have to live in the
When was
constant
the
mess,
last save?
If I have to live with the constant if I have to live with the constant mess that is my life, you have to live with 2%. You have to live with 2% milk, Liam. You have to live with the 2% milk.
Okay.
Josie is the 2% milk.
You're not going to play everything that you just played all over again.
No.
Just to... Okay.
Okay, welcome to.
I'll do that in my own time.
Okay, welcome to Kirby's Dream Land 3 2, the sequel to Kirby's Dream Land 3, where we play the entire game over again because Liam missed some stuff.
Should I spend $100 buying an SNES Classic?
Huh?
Should I spend the $100 it is to buy an SNES Classic?
Yes. Anyways, we will be right back with some more torture, I suppose. Cause,
I mean...
yeah.